everybody. It's me. It's Michael B. Restream is so different now. For some reason, gives you this option to do this, which I don't know why I would want to do it. Or I can do this where I'm maximized and I look normal. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for joining me. It's Monday. You know what that means. Another chill and chat with Michael B. And tonight, there's not a lot of news to talk about, so I wanted to do something a little bit different. In fact, this is what I was going to do last week before, Arcade One Up released that NBA Jam Casino Jam, or whatever you want to call it, and everything kind of went crazy. Like a lot of people, like myself, kind of lost a lot of faith in the direction Arcade One Up is going. But luckily, the most positive guy in the community, PD7, brought up a really good point in his walk and talk. Nothing's consistent with Arcade One Up. And again, it's possible this could be a one and done. Anyways, I stick with my sentiment. I'm not going to speculate, talk about it until Arcade One Up shows me something to talk about. Anyways, in the meantime, let's go back and take a look at some of the more positive things that have come out of this whole home arcade hobby over the course of the last 6 years. Yeah, believe it or not, guys, it started all the way back in 2017, 2018, and here we are in 2024, and can you believe it? We're still talking about this shit. Like, we met so many of these people, formed this awesome community, and all got together because a bunch of companies released these stupid products that we could have in our home and recreate our love of the arcades. Well, we're going to talk about that tonight on Chillin' Chat with Michael B. So, guys, the easiest place to get started with all this is to just say hello to the wonderful people here in the chat. Thank you so much, everybody, for choosing to join me on Monday nights. This has been going on now for, a long time. This is episode 181. 181. You think about that. So we're into year 4 of me doing this stream. And it all started because one day I bought a new mic for Super Game Room Dudes. And I said, hey, it'd be fun to check it out and just hang out online. And for some reason, you guys wanted to watch and you kept wanting to watch. So it's excellent. I really appreciate it. And thank you so much for being here, hanging out with me all these years. Anyways, guys, so let's say hello to the people we see here in the chat. Cornercade, hey Novasonic. Cornercade wrote me a message earlier and he said, Mike, are you ready? And I was like, for what, man? He was like, you got a show. And I was like, yeah, of course I'm ready. Jason Little Alien, best moderator in the business. Thank you so much for being here. Birds, Bees, and Trees, Elio, Thumper Squid, Decadent Dave, NBA Sham. Don't know what that's about. Well, I mean, like it's ridiculous what they're doing, if that's what you mean. Turn off the Hasselhoff filter. I can't, brother. This is the way I look. Stock Jock, always good to see you, man. Stock Jock recently just put up his home arcade tour. If you haven't seen it yet, go check it out. Ichabod Crane is here. Jim the Pacers fan, nice to see you. Messiah's Gaming, good to see you, brother. Tim York, Dr. Tongue. Who else we got here? Guy Fox, Darren Kane, Hulk 181. First full appearance of Wolverine. What is going on here? Stocktrack says, love watching and hanging. Thank you very much. I know there's a huge stream going on P-Dub's channel. He's probably still going, talking about what's going on with, Nyx and the mod for the At Games Legends Pinball 4KP. That's one of the things we're going to talk about tonight as well. One of the other cool things to come out of this whole home arcade hobby is digital pinball. So we'll talk about that, and we'll talk about the level we're at right now, where we're actually going to be able to play VPX games on our At Games Legends Pinball 4K natively. How friggin' cool. Prince Malcolm, this comment, this should be interesting. Every time Mike tries to do a stream focus on positive, turns out we talk about the negatives. No, tonight is all about the positives. And, we're going to give thanks to the companies for giving us all this crazy stuff that we can enjoy and build home arcades in our home. Dan Z, I saw you earlier. I didn't give you a shout out yet because it went off my screen from when I said hello to you earlier. Good to see you, Dan in St. Louis. No 4KP here, so I'm here. Thanks, Stock Jack. I appreciate it. Nothing beats real pins. Yeah, nothing beats real pins. But I mean, I'm just gonna be very honest with you, Dick and Dave. I have very few real pins I can play here in Newfoundland. Like it's very, very few and far between. I got my own Godzilla premium, but like if it wasn't for that, like I wouldn't have access to real pins regularly. So if I wish I lived in a place where I could just go to a pinball place and play pinball all the time, real pins, because this is like you can go out with $20 and have a bunch of fun. But yeah, no. uh, Dr. Torque, I keep calling you Dr. Tongue. I'm so sorry, Tim York. Nooner says he wanted to bitch more. Sorry, man. Well, you can bitch, but I don't think it's going to be a bitch type night tonight. Anyways, so let's get started. I've got a poll question up right now, and it's a pretty simple one. 36 votes so far. So we're going to talk about this a little bit because here's the question. Why are we all here? Would we have all been here? Would this community have formed if there weren't home arcade products? And of course, the first one that comes to mind is Arcade One Up. You got to give me a second here, guys. Restream is so stupid now. So stupid now. So we go back to this initial video from Arcade One Up, the first time you would have seen him with the TV commercial when they first came out, and we first got a look at these little three-quarter scale machines. They came out in stores. They were around $300, riser optional. You can pick up all your arcade favorites: Pac-Man, Galaga, Asteroids, Centipede, and Street Fighter 2 Champion Edition in that first wave. And this was the magical time when we were all like, this is crazy. It's so cool what they can do, right? Stop sharing. So that's the thing that was cool about it. We had these options to go get these little arcade machines. And while other people are already out there, they're willing to take on the sacrifice, do the hard work of actually buying a real arcade, maintaining it, restoring it, finding it, moving it. There was a lot of us that were like, we're probably never going to have home arcades in our home. But then Arcade One Up came out and gave us an option, and we could do really cool and weird shit, kind of like this. So, guys, this is my home arcade tour back from 2021, where I had 15 Arcade One Ups in my arcade, 3 Arcade One Up pinball machines. I had that giant room packed, completely packed, and it was just all cool in there. We had Street Fighter 2, Mortal Kombat, Turtles, Burger Time, Pac-Man, Outrun, Golden Axe, Tron, Star Wars. I mean, it was just full of all these games. And like, when was I ever going to get an opportunity to do something like this if a company like Arcade One Up never came around and put their shit out there? There's the Atari Tempest. Oh, X-Men. I miss my X-Men. I don't miss Big Blue very much. I found it very uncomfortable to play. You had to put it in a very specific location in order to play it. But I mean, like, you take a look at this, and you could have multicades and all that shit, but there was just something different about having these toy recreations that emulated the actual arcade. That it wasn't just you were playing the game, but you could build a room like this and blur the lines of reality and foolishness and have these toy arcades and have these rooms in your house to bring you back to a time, to a place that was more simpler, more fun back in the heydays of the arcade. So, I mean, that's the coolest shit in the world, man, that we could do this thanks to a company like Arcade One Up. So, the first thing that really has to be said, and a positive thing, some people might not see it as a positive. There's people that don't like Arcade One Up, but because of that, we have this massive community here. People built rooms in their home arcade rooms, and we got to go back and experience so much nostalgia for these home arcades and home arcade products and the real arcades. I mean, even from the point of uh, you know having these Arcade One Up rooms, people then went on that they felt like this wasn't enough. They wanted to do more. They wanted to mod them, or there were titles that weren't releasing. You got guys out there like my buddy Ezekiel, the Chicago Retro Ranger, Nick Madsen, others that started with Arcade One Up, and it became a gateway to them going out and collecting real arcades. I mean, there's no doubt the impact these home arcades had on so many people. Again, there were 300 people watching my stream last week with RGT 85, and that was all possible due to the fact that Walmart, apparently, this is the story I heard, Walmart put out a tender for people to build home arcades. Tastemakers took it up, or the reverse story that this was Tastemakers' idea. Because this came to fruition, all these arcades came out. So many of us came together. So many of us built these arcade rooms in our home. And think about the hours of fun and foolishness and nostalgia sitting around your room just playing these things, right? Yeah, there's a section too from the modding community. That's not me, Prince Malcolm. I was never that guy, never modded them, but ETA Prime went out and modded the original Street Fighter, and then a bunch of people did. So there's a whole different section that's dedicated just to modding and stuff like that. So I completely understand that. Never my jam, but I get it. Exactly, Decadent Dave. Took me back to a better time when you could go back and just play these stupid games, and even at the most expensive point when they were coming out, they were 5, 6, $700. I mean, it all seemed reasonable depending on the quality of the game. Games like Tron, Star Wars, you didn't mind paying a little more as long as the cab was done right. Champion Edition, I know, Champion Edition, I said it right for once. Biggie D, I'm really hoping a lot of these get redone in the deluxe form factor or even XL, although I don't have a lot of hope. I really hope not the slim form factor. I again, no interest in the slim form factor. I just no matter what game it is, I just won't buy it. Like I don't like that slim form factor. Thanks, Steven C. I appreciate it, my man. Anyways, I'm gonna take that down off the screen and let's talk about this. Nooner, that's a really good thing as well. It was kismet or it was a perfect storm. How Arcade One Up happened was the right idea at the right time. I mean, these hit in 2018, 2017, 2018, and the reason they kind of blew up first off was, I mean, the clearance sales, the $50 clearance sales. Everybody was going out to go and finding them, modding them. People were going out just finding what they could buy. But then Arcade One Up really stepped up their game and released cooler titles. I mean, you think about it. The next wave, we got Final Fight. We got Mortal Kombat 2. Like, holy shit, Mortal Kombat. Like, I couldn't believe they did Mortal Kombat. Had to have that one. Also, I love Final Fight, so I was so excited for that. But then we also got Golden Tee. I can't remember exactly everything else. I think Asteroids 12 and 1. The Asteroids Centipede 12 and 1 was around that time. We didn't get those here in Canada, so my memory's a little fuzzy. But then we had Wave 3, and they really shook us when they came out with Turtles, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the arcade game. That's the one that hooked me, and I fell in love with this, and I started getting all of them. But also, there was also Marvel Superheroes, the fighting game brought a lot of people from the fighting game community, and that was another popular release. But of course, the biggest one at that time was the fact that they went out and they did Star Wars. Now, just give me a second here. I gotta get my assets loaded up. I got them all ready, just not loaded up. Uh, Cornercade, yes, Arcade One Up has reached out to people, but not officially or anything like that. I'll tell you a little bit about that later, but I mean, there's not really much to say. But I wanted to talk about this one. This is what really made it special because it's easy enough to talk about how they had these titles and they were, kind of all shark fin. It was just cool. We had these machines in our house. But right next to it is Burger Time, and I want to show Star Wars because Star Wars marked a very important transition to the time when Arcade One Up moved away from just doing the shark fins and actually giving us the option to play these home arcade titles to really understanding the nostalgia this community had for specific games, for specific titles. So I look at that Star Wars machine and I love turtles. That was very big. But Star Wars brought on a different thing in me. That was the point where I was like, the authenticity is so important. The fact that we were getting the right form factor, the fact that they did the yoke so good, the fact that we were getting this classic 80s title, like what's a bigger franchise in the entire world than Star Wars? Amazing score chasing game. Like I just fell in love with Atari Star Wars. I hate that I sold it. I was 100% sure they were coming out with an XL, and that's why I did. But man, oh man, am I kicking myself in the ass? Even Return of the Jedi was good. Like no complaints, no complaints at all about this cab. This is, in my opinion, the gold standard. Still today, Star Wars might be the gold standard for arcade one-up cabinets. So, yeah, audio's cutting out. Sorry, guys. Let me just. All right, I'm going to stop sharing for a second. I'm going to check my mic. 1 second, friends. Ooh. Hello. All right, guys. Let me know if you can hear me now. I don't know what's going on with the audio. I have no idea what's happening. Maybe it was just the video. Can you hear me better now? I know there's a delay. Let me know if you can hear me better now. I'll sip this coffee. Talk amongst yourselves. Completely agree, Nooner. Star Wars is still my favorite. Only thing missing is an XL version. Yeah, better. Good. That's what I like to hear. Uh, yeah, I don't know what's going on with my mic. I did that stream last night. Maybe it got screwed up, but yeah. Anyway, Star Wars, incredible cab. Get back on screen. Let me know if the audio goes in and out now as well. But going back to Star Wars, this is the one that was really special. And it was really special for other reasons too. Like, I knew a lot of people that were never interested in Arcade One Up before, like, kind of scoffed at them. But here's the thing, like, when you're dealing with some of these arcades, like a Street Fighter, you collect arcades, you can get a Street Fighter pretty easily. I mean, it was a conversion kit, anyways. So, I mean, it wasn't like you had to get a dedicated arcade. You could pretty much put it in just about anything, but like you'd wanted a Dynamo or a Big Blue. But with Star Wars was a really hard to find game and really super expensive. So the fact there was a $500 alternative out there, Weird Code Mystics came in, made sure the game was perfect on this little device with a quality yoke. I mean, that changed a lot of people's minds. And honestly, this was the first time a lot of people bought arcade one-ups because it was the easiest way to actually get your hands on Star Wars the arcade game home. It looked so good. It had the right yoke. It was probably the best way to play it outside of getting an original arcade, but it would have cost you a absolute fortune. All right, guys. Audio choppy again. How about now? Maybe I can't play videos. Who knows? My computer seems to be doing something crazy here. Super warm today. I even bought a pool. I know. I know. I don't know what's going on, Cornercade. Did the audio come back okay? When I share the video. Yeah, my computer is doing some interesting stuff here now. It's all those torrents. That's what it is. It's all those people that keep trying to hack like my Facebook accounts and shit. You guys have no idea what's going on here in the background. Still choppy. TK Magic Shop. You got to be kidding me. I have Ethernet to my PC. Messiah. This is not Wi-Fi. It's not the internet. It seems to be my computer. Actually, there is some porn there, so yeah. Okay, we're back. We're back. I never called them real arcades. What are you talking about, Nick? Do you mean commercial coin op arcades? I don't know. Real arcades? I never called an arcade one up a real arcade. I didn't do that. You got to be more specific, Nick. I don't know what you mean. Good now. So Apparently, I can't share the videos anymore, which is a nightmare because I spent so much time getting video clips to show you guys here tonight. But it's not going to work, unfortunately. So, anyways, then from there, Arcade One Up kept going on and kept making some of these really special cabs that we hadn't seen in a while. Stuff like Tron, and there's a good and a bad with Tron. Unfortunately, they took some of the design of Glenn's Tron stick and reverse engineered it, kind of stole it. Didn't do anything legally wrong, like they can do that, but something completely morally wrong from this small person in the community wanted to do stuff. So that was unfortunate, but the machine itself was beautiful. It was a showpiece arcade, one we all wanted. It was so friggin' cool, man. I love Tron. So, I really regret getting the real one because that didn't work out and it made me sell my Tron Arcade One Up. So I don't have my Tron anymore. So, yeah. Anyways, Tron and then Dragon's Lair. So we got so many special ones that honestly, you could probably play these on a multi-cade, but not with the right controls, not with the secondary scoreboard. That's what's special about these Arcade One-Up machines back then. You could do all this cool stuff and get the arcade experience and all the nostalgia that there was no other way to get. So there we go. Get her done. Thank you very much, guys. Sorry about the choppy audio. I mean, it can't be any worse than RGT 85 being completely pixelated the whole show. Yes. Well, it's still stolen. Like Messiah, they stole the concept. They reverse engineered his product to learn how to do it. So essentially, they stole the idea. Again, probably not legally, not legally wrong, but definitely morally wrong. So there you go. On the phone, it's choppy. On TV, perfect. Great. So, anyways, Arcade One Up did all this cool stuff. We all have these game rooms. We're all here because of it. So let's just focus on the positives. It's easy to be negative about Arcade One Up right now. They haven't released a new game since Time Crisis, all the way back. I think that was around last September. That was the last time we got a new title. A lot of rehashes, and now this new form factor that moves away from some of the specialness I was talking about, where they were recreating the actual shape of the arcades and giving us almost like a recreation instead of just a toy arcade in a box. So, it's disappointing to see that direction. Hopefully, again, PD7's right, and it was a one-off. But I do love my machines. I've always loved Arcade One Up. I love the product. And I'm very happy for the time I had, the machines I had, and the stuff I still have. I love my game room. I love spending time down there. A lot of people like to say people don't even play Arcade One Ups. That's a fallacy. I guess I don't know what it is. It's like Raspberry Pi people looking at people with full NES sets or 200 NES games, and they're like, you don't even play them. Why don't you just get a Raspberry Pi? It doesn't make any sense, but if that's your argument, cool. You do you, play how you want to play, right? I'll talk to you offline. You were wrong on this one, in my opinion. I don't know how to say it. Like, not legally stole, but technically stole, Messiah. you know, when you reverse engineer something and recreate it, you're basically still stealing the concept from the original person. Now, was it his concept? I don't know all the ins and outs of that, but yeah, I don't know a better way to say it. Anyways, guys, so it wasn't just Arcade One Up. Some of the other stuff that came up that was really cool that we all got invested with because, same as me saying all this nostalgia from Arcade One Up, Raspberry Pi people, an Arcade One Up isn't for everybody. One of the things people complained about with Arcade One Ups is there's not enough games, or I would like different options. And thankfully, Arcade One Up wasn't the only game in town. We also had other companies that came to the forefront and gave us products that either accentuated what we were doing or gave options for a different way to play altogether. Now I'm going to try to play another video. You can tell me how choppy it is. If it's too choppy, just tell me. Let's see how this one works. Hopefully much better than the other ones. I am going to have to restart my computer. I even restarted my internet tonight before we started to make sure we were good. So hopefully not choppy, but we also had Act games, and we didn't get them here in Canada right away. But when we got them hard and heavy. They were awesome. So the Act Games machine gave a different option. Obviously, it looked less like a real arcade, less like the recreation of an arcade, and it was his own thing, very similar to an arcade one up with its swan design and base, built to be flat packed. But it did give us a lot of different things we didn't get. Look at this handsome young Michael B. Still got color in his beard. The the world of YouTube and shit hasn't worn him down yet. This intro. So here's the thing: that games came out. We got this multicade, and it came with 300 games. So it came with so many more games than what the arcade one-ups already came with. Now people argue about the quality of some of these games, but keep in mind we did get a bunch of Atari. We got some Data East. We got some Taito games. Space Invaders was on this. I think the original or the Hack Games Legends Ultimate version 1.1 had four separate arcade one-up cabs contained with the games on the Legends Ultimate itself. So you had that option for 300 games. You had a bunch of different control options. The controls were actually better than the arcade one-up cabs, so that was a positive. But here's what made it really special, and I want to go ahead and get past the included games because that's no fun, and we'll talk about. Oh, I just talked about the included games. I didn't go into the modding. What am I crazy here? Oh, that bothers me. Oh, here we go. Now we're getting into it. So let's talk about this. And here it came. You could just add your own game. So I could play arcade games that I didn't have an option to play on an arcade one off. Might never come like G.I. Joe. Might never come like Robotron 2084. Sorry, Stock Jock. I hate to say it. No, you're underwater. That's why. They'll get a lot of sleep in 2020. All right, I'll turn off the video. It doesn't seem to want to work. Restream's terrible, man. Terrible. I'm gonna have to get StreamYards again. Yeah, and for a lot of people, man, it's the ALU that gets most playtime because you can play almost anything. There's a couple exceptions where, if it's like a driving game or racing game, something that requires a specific control, it's a little bit more complicated to play. I mean, Tron came on the original At Games Legends Ultimate or the At Games Legends Ultimate version 1.1, but you're playing it with completely different controls. You don't have the flight stick. So it didn't really work the same way. So yeah, but Robotron plays incredible on the ALU, and that's the great thing. You can use the twin sticks when it's set up with the right I forget what they're called, the right file. I can't remember what the ROMs you bring in are called, but I have one of the coin ops builds. Johnny 5 is alive. I have that one, and Robotron just works perfectly. And then when you have the bit LCD marquee, mine's down again right now, so it's not working. At least you get the marquee there, so you get some nostalgia. It's not all the way there, but it's a great way to play the game. The ROM works great, and the marquee certainly does do some very cool stuff. Jaws for the NES is very nostalgic to me. Have you ever beat Jaws? I've beat Jaws. We'll talk about it some other time, TK Magic Shop. Well, there's the other thing. There was also crazy sales at Sam's Clubs where ALUs and ALPs were going out the door for like $200-300. So everybody was like making out like bandits. So you get that. Yes, Decadent Dave. But here's the thing: like it's tomato. Like you can play Defender on your At Games Legends Ultimate, but it's not the same as the real control stick. Also, Arcade One Up doesn't give you an option because you got to play it on a Mortal Kombat control stick or a Rampage control stick. So yeah, it doesn't really work. Glenn's Fight Stick makes Tron awesome on the ALU. Glenn sent me out a flight stick, but I didn't have a very good experience with Glenn's flight stick. I love Glenn's products. His flight stick is not one of my favorites. The one he sent me didn't actually go the right way. It installed and it was sideways. That's the first problem with it. And mine actually kind of fell apart. So I love Glenn's products. I didn't have a lot of luck with the flight stick on the ALU, and it's a way to play it, but it's also so friggin' hard to switch it in and out. It wasn't an easy switch, so like to install it, you're stuck there. I remember what was it? One of the National Owners Day, we were doing these fighting games online, and I fought Detroit Love playing like King of Fighters or something, and Detroit Love was actually fighting me with Glenn's Tron joystick, which was in the Player One controller. Because like once you install it, it's a hard install, and there it is. So yeah, Glenn's flight stick, my problems with it were it was sideways, so it didn't install correctly. And I wrote Glenn about it, and he was like, you just turn it. And I was like, I already turned it, still sideways. So it just didn't install right. And yeah, it was small, and then it just obliterated one day. I don't even know what happened to it, but yeah. To me, multicades always must be part of my home arcades. There are hundreds of machines I'll never be able to own in my home. I need to be able to play these games 100%. I mean, I that's what I've always loved the At Games Legends Ultimate. There's fringe games I want to play sometimes that really I don't need to have a dedicated arcade machine to do it on. Like if I want to play Cadillacs and Dinosaurs, do I really want an arcade one up Cadillacs and Dinosaurs? No, I'm not going to pay $500 for that. But every now and then I want to play Cadillacs and Dinosaurs. Now I do want a GI Joe because that's a personal thing, but like there's other games that every now and then I just want to check out. Like the other night, I played through the Sailor Moon beat 'em up. I do not want an arcade one up Sailor Moon beat 'em up, but I really had a lot of fun just jamming on my ALU playing the Sailor Moon beat 'em up. It was fun. So I mean, you always have those options too. Anyways, moving on from there, we also got another company that came out called iArcade, and iArcade we're a different animal altogether. I would show the video, but apparently I'm going to get super choppy and people are going to complain, so I'm not going to do that. So with iArcade, they came at it with a very different concept. Like I remember when iArcade was first announced, people were going, and Jong himself was showing this arcade bar top that didn't look anything like an arcade we saw. I mean, it looked more like a candy cab, and it had a weird shape. And I was just like, I don't get it. I don't understand what this is. And I remember saying that in the comments, like watching One Up Weekly one time when they were talking about it. I didn't get it. I didn't get it at all. And the community really came together after Jong and iArcade got attacked that time, and the PW stream, everybody came together. And, unfortunately, like, iArcade eventually ended up falling apart, and there's people that don't like Jong, but I want to focus on the product itself. I didn't get it. But then when it came out and I was playing these modern games on an arcade machine, even a first-person shooter like Dead Effect, I was like, you know what? This is actually really cool. Playing games like, what was that wave racing game that came out earlier? The, jet bike game. I can't remember the name of it now, but like playing stuff like that, it just felt fun. I just enjoyed it. It was a bunch of fun to play stuff like that on the iArcade. $2 super chat from my buddy Stringer Films. Nice thumbnail. I took that herpes test today too. Yeah, positive. Congratulations, Stringer Films. Well, Stringer Films, I mean, obviously the positives, it's supposed to be a take on the Mortal Kombat friendship and to put more of a positive spin on stuff going on in the home arcade community, because it's been pretty bleak lately. So let's go back and take a look at some of the fun stuff that we did get from the home arcade community. Stringer is another example of one of these guys. Arcade 1-Up came out, he bought a couple, and then became the king of going out and finding deals, the Stringer deals, finding stuff like a Star Wars. Like we talked about it, most arcade collectors can't find a Star Wars. He probably found one for $30 and then fixed it up. So yeah, Stringer Films, thank you very much for the super chat. And because you're the first, and because you're the best, You got to give the people what they want. Thank you very much for the super chat, Stringer Films. It's appreciated, my good man. Anyways, so iArcade came out and it was this option to play all these games, and they gave something that a lot of people in the community were looking for. People were looking for some kind of online store, a way to add games to your machine. You constantly saw it come up on the Facebook pages. I love my Street Fighter game. Do you think they'll ever come out with an a la carte cab, or I can't remember what it's called, a cab that you could add games to? And At Games had some options to buy packs, and then they also had ArcadeNet, but nothing was really done like that then with iArcade. And we had a really fun period of a couple years where we would wait every week until the iArcade Live came out to see whether or not John was going to surprise us that there was a new game available to buy that day. And it took me back and reminded me of the days of the beautiful days of the Wii and the Wii Virtual Console, Wii Shop, where you would wait every week to see what game was coming out. So there was always that fun and excitement. Every week a new game would come out. A lot of times they were not great, and you'd be like scratching your head. You'd be like, what are you doing, iArcade? And then sometimes they were really cool. It was exciting to get them. So, give iArcade a ton of credit in that category. So, yeah, good job on iArcade. Unfortunately, as we all know, no longer there. Just, I don't know if it was a downturn in the hobby, just not enough interest in what they were doing. Unfortunately, the finances and the board just gave up on them. It's too bad because it was a really good product, and I saw so much potential in it. It just never got to where it needed to be. The burp I joined, the burp heard around the world the night I joined. Stringer Films, if I can get this to come up, it went down. All was planned on an arcade. One Up just lit the fuse. Thank you very much, Stringer Films. Glad it did lit the fuse. You are a legend, buddy. When Escape from Popo came out, it's a pants pit shitting moment in time. Yeah, Escape from Popo was not good. Prince Malcolm, who, as most of you know, behind the scenes did so much to help with trying to get companies to get interested in putting their licenses on iArcade. Double Dragon license is what brought him to the fold. We know Arcade One Up. They tried to get a Double Dragon game out to the public. Retailers didn't want it, but yeah, thanks, Stringer Films. I see that. When they debuted, Double Dragon license is what pushed me to get it. Arcade One Up wanted to do it. They couldn't get the retailers to buy it, but luckily we got good playable versions of Double Dragon on the iArcade, and that was a cool moment. That was a holy shit moment. I mean, they had a good games list coming out from the beginning. We were getting Dragon's Lair, we were getting Double Dragon. So, I mean, some pretty big arcade names then. Yeah, I can see it. So, moving on from there, I do want to talk about another company. I'm going to try another video, and if it makes me go choppy again, just let me know. Yeah, one the Blue Hell has escaped from Popo. Yes, it was an iArcade game. It was, yeah. Mike Brown said, I made a game cab from an antique telephone switchboard, then came Arcade One Up 5 cabs later. That's what happened, man. I remember just getting the Street Fighter 2 Champion Edition for, I think it was 318 Canadian during like the box, not the, what is it, Black Friday sale. And I was like, I'm good. I just want one. Always wanted an arcade machine in my home. And then Turtles came out and everything went to hell. Yeah. New Wave have made a 1/6 scale Dragon's Lair. I have it. They actually came out with 2 versions of the Dragon's Lair cab. You missed it. You got to see. Oh, I've got several iArcade videos logged up. I guess I could try to show it to get my choppy audio, but I will do a quick video for Biggie D iArcade video. So I'll bring this up. Audio's going to go to hell, guys. You're going to have to be patient with me. I'm very sorry. Oh man, this is supposed to be full screen. Damn it. So here's me playing the iArcade, playing Dragon's Lair for the first time, going to the game store at the time, and it's one of the things I love the machine. I thought the machine was super high quality, just like an absolute treat. Controls were good. It was really cool to put together. The audio was fantastic. Screen looked great, 19 inches. The only thing I kept reminding people about was, this machine is badass. Like, you're gonna love the machine, but make sure you go to the game store and make sure you're happy with the games. Of course, now moving forward, I mean, so much has changed. We've got X and the encoder board. I still haven't done that mod. I'm going to do that when I get a little bit more time. So we have that option. You can add new games that way. Glenn's Retro Show is coming out with his Viper board in the next little while. He also came out with his Ultimate Control panel. So there's all kinds of options that way. Let me just bring that up. I actually want to talk about this really quickly. So Glenn posted this earlier today. Want to play with your friends across the street or around the world? Arcade and GRS Viper has you covered. Make a server, have your friends join. Arcade and GRS Viper SBC coming this August, $39.99. I thought this was really cool. I didn't know about this, but you can actually play online on the iArcade even after the company has gone defunct with Glenn's new products. You can play Streets of Rage 2 against people. I don't really know how this is going to work. I'll have to get more information. But with the arcade and with the GRS Viper, apparently you can create a server, go play people. So another cool invention coming out on the iArcade. Playing Streets of Rage 2 with a friend on the iArcade, that's probably going to be pretty dope. So I did want to mention that. Ah, now let's get over to where I need you to be. Yeah, unfortunately, Prince Malcolm, you're 100% right. Like, there were so many people that wanted stuff, and I don't know, man. Like, if you look at it, um, mistakes were made with what they brought in, what they were spending money on. Like, you always go back to that Sega games, and we got some cool Sega games, no doubt, like Space Harrier, incredible. Also, Shadow Dancer, really good. But some of the other Sega games sucked ass. They were not good arcade games. They were not Golden Axe. They were not that caliber. And if you believe the rumors, you know, very, very expensive too. So unfortunately, the company went under. But I'm glad there's so many options now that people can make use of machines. I regret selling my gold, knowing now that Lynn's Viper is going to be accessible with the gold. So I might end up, perking out this iArcade I got back here and getting a gold at some point again to get the Viper and check that out. We'll see. Yeah, James, thanks for bringing it up, James. Always coming in with negativity. No one else has mentioned my audio. You always got to bring up shit like that. No, no, I've been having this problem all night, James. Every time I play a video or bring another screen in for some reason, it's completely screwing up my audio. No idea what's going on, man. Thanks for the heads up. But anyways, guys, so there is one more thing I want to talk about from the home arcade space because we talked about these companies. They're doing cool shit. Of course, we've also got New Wave Toys and their amazing little 1/6 scale products that are just so highly detailed, so well done. Now we got new products Zoltar coming out. Very excited. I think on Tuesday the 22nd, I finally get my Zoltar in my hand, so I'm really excited to check that out. Seen a lot of videos of people already out there with them. Like, it's not even a home arcade, but it's just so cool that they're branching out and doing this other shit accessories that are just so amazing that fit in so well with these mini arcade dioramas. Of course, the hope that they'll do more in the future too, right? But moving on from that, there's something that we haven't talked about very much, and that's pinball. Like, I've become such a huge fan of pinball over the course of the last couple of years. And I didn't play pinball in the arcades when I was younger. I didn't have any interest. Like, Detroit Love talks about it. Pinball was expensive. And also, I mean, pinball wasn't exactly a hot thing. We went to the arcade to play TMNT. We went to the arcade to play Street Fighter. We went to the arcade to play Mortal Kombat 2. I went to the arcade to play G.I. Joe, Terminator 2. That was the stuff that brought us in. We didn't really know about pinball. Pinball was such a foreign thing. But thanks to these companies coming out with digital machines, we were so fortunate that we could then get our hands on what resembled pinball and it just kept getting better from there. First off, gotta say huge thanks to Toy Shock. Toy Shock were first out of the gates. They didn't have the best product, but it seemed amazing at the time. It's the Toy Shock digital pinball table. Everybody went nuts. We saw all the videos, people getting them, modding them, putting PCs in them. Detroit Love still uses his Toy Shock as his primary VPN table to this day. So awesome for Toy Shock to get out of the gates. And that propelled the war to see which company could, lead the whole digital pinball space in the retail market. Obviously, you go out and get $7,000, $8,000 virtual pinball machines that blow these away. But you had Arcade One Up coming out with the first retail Pinball FX3 Zen Studios releases. We got Star Wars, we got Marvel, amazing games, and of course we also got the Williams tables. So I remember getting them, so excited. I bought all of them. I was addicted to pinball immediately. Had no idea how bad the performance was on the machine. I was just so excited to play. I thought the machines were built really well. I loved the way the solenoids worked. I loved the way the machine felt. It had the right height. I really enjoyed Arcade One Up pinball when I first got it. But again, keep in mind, my digital pinball experience at that time was very limited. So I thought this thing was amazing until I got my AtGames Legends pinball a little later, and you see a bigger screen, that 32-inch screen, 1080p. Of course, you didn't necessarily get the same quality of games with the Zen pinball games, but we did get some really good games. We got all the Gottlieb games that were initially on the Toy Shock. Well, that's one of the things that really didn't help Toy Shock, to be honest. And they ran better on the AtGames Legends pinball than on the Toy Shock. Obviously, Toy Shock had some issues. Then on top of that, we ended up getting the Zaccaria games. Then AtGames started making their own games. And then you had the ability for OTG to hook a computer in. Then I could play my Pinball FX games. And then I got into visual pinball as well. So it opened up this whole new world that then ended up getting me addicted to pinball. So much so that whenever I travel, that's the first thing I look for now. Is there any places to go play pinball? So much so that I even shelled out $15,000 Canadian to get a Godzilla Premium. And that all stems and started with Toy Shock coming out of the market and bringing out the original virtual pinball table with the Toy Shock Haunted House. So good job, Toy Shock. I'm here for the negatives. I guess Mike's mic must be faulty. Am I going out again? Hey, John, nice to see you. So moving on from there, where we are now, we have the AtGames Legends Pinball 4K. And to me, this is really the end goal of all this pinball stuff, because you had Toy Shock come out, they got the Gottlieb licenses, Farsight Studios. Arcade One Up came out, they had their product, really well-built product, but unfortunately, the processor just didn't live up to what it needed to be, and obviously Zen had some issues putting their games on that processor, getting them to work. So we got these 720 versions of games that they ran okay. Some, not the Williams games, obviously, like Whitewater obviously was a disaster, and they didn't have online. There was a lot of problems with them, to the point now where we have the ALP 4KP. We get a 4K 60 frames per second. It would be better if it was 120, no doubt. AtGames then took all the community mods like the Buy Stuff back box and did something very similar with that. So we get a much better back box that was on the original machine. On top of that, they went out and got the Williams licenses, brought in games from Pinball FX catalog, like Addams Family, like Attack from Mars. So, I mean, they hit on so many levels of what the rest of the pinball companies were doing. It all gelled into one machine. Of course, we're not there with the Zen pinball games yet. They still have some flipper lag, still some graphical degradation. Hopefully, we get an update from AtGames sometime in the near future, and there is going to be a flipper lag fix and all that stuff. And these games run well, run much better, run like they should. Some of them are still fun. I love Twilight Zone. I can play Twilight Zone every single day on the AtGames Legends Pinball. I think that one plays really well. Don't have an iconic arcade. Someone asked me about that earlier. The negatives are in the after show. That's right. Join me and 19K Fox for my paid members only after show where we get into our far right conspiracy theories. Join now. Anyways, here's the thing. On top of that, then they released this SSF kit. And for anybody that has an At Games Legends pinball, you know what a difference it makes. It's so friggin' cool. Like the immersion, everything that's involved with that At Games Legends pinball 4K. It's just, it's the culmination of everything that came out. So while there's not a ton to be positive about in the home arcade space right now, we do have the At Games Legends Pinball 4KP. And right now, that, in my opinion, that's leading the charge. Other than like, I don't know, like basically like the online community being cool. Like it's the At Games Legends Pinball 4KP. Now we got new products coming out, stuff to be excited for. New Wave Toys possibly doing a large scale cab in the future. I'm excited for that. Other companies stepping up to the plate. One other company I almost forgot to mention that I do want to give a huge shout out to and a positive to was Unico. So I know this is the 19K Fox show now. Unico good, Arcade One Up bad, but I do want to give Unico credit, but not for the Nova Blast and stuff they're doing now. I want to go back to the original MBSX because there was a rumor originally that Arcade One Up was going to get the SNK license, and there was those online leaks about a King of Fighters cab. And for me, that never felt right. It didn't feel like that was the right mix for SNK in the home arcade space. Like we all know, the SNK cabs are mostly all big reds. They are multi-game cabs. To me, what made sense for SNK was because you're not going to buy a bunch of different big red cabs with just a couple different games on them, was what the MVSX was. I mean, it wasn't perfect design wise. It was a little bit shorter than an Arcade One Up, so it didn't fully fit in. Also, the didn't have a good front panel for you to put your knees in while you're sitting on a stool at the machine, and that riser was just a nightmare. It either made it too high or way too high. So the riser didn't fix the issue either. So build wise, it looked like a big red, but it wasn't the most ergonomic cab to sit at. Standing was probably a little bit better, but again, it was short. With the riser, at least you were up taller. But what I did like about what they did, artwork, screen, sound, all really good. Buttons were no better than an Arcade One Up buttons, so there was no big, upgrade there. But what I did like is there was 50 games on it. There was so many games on the MBSX. If you're releasing a Neo Geo cab, there's two ways to do it. One is you do it with an online store. Like if you go back to the Arcade One Up leaks and rumors, that concept was brilliant, that they were going to come out with an Arcade One Up big red SNK cab and then have an online store so you could add whatever games you wanted to it. Brilliant idea. That's one way to do it. The other way to do it is just put them all on the one cab, and that's what Unico and the MBSX did. Was we were getting 50 games out the hop. You were getting all your Metal Gears. You were getting your Samurai Showdowns. You were getting Shock Troopers. There wasn't a lot of the individual games. There was some stuff missing, right? But you got an awesome selection, and I am so glad that Unico stole that one, snuck it away from Arcade One Up, because we got a really friggin' cool machine that did justice to what the Neo Geo was in the arcade. Buying a King of Fighters Arcade One Up cab wouldn't have done it. That was the right way to do it. So kudos to Unico for doing that. Yeah, I know. Someone did an hour show on that riser alone, right? Who knew? And hopefully Unico's not done either. I don't know if Arcade One Up is even having discussions with SNK now. I know Unico was successful in releasing this little tiny Neo Geo just a little while ago. So if they're out there and they are planning on doing more home arcades, maybe they could do another version of the MVSX, but this time make it bigger, make it more ergonomic, make it better to stand at. Maybe an XL version of the MVSX, put 50 games on it, or hell, do what Arcade One Up was doing and do an online store. I would love to see that. So hopefully, the Neo Geo games, they're a little bit more niche in the arcade space, probably bigger in the fighting game community. Like we all know, some of the games, but some of them are Again, super niche. They're not like, out there the same way. So, yeah, I would love to see them do another Big Red, 50 games or an online store. Love to see Unico do that. Yeah. Anyways, guys, other than that, there's a lot of cool things that we got out of this. Don't forget that. Times seem bleak right now. Doesn't seem to be a lot of new stuff coming out, but it doesn't change the fact that we still had a lot of fun with this hobby. We still got to do a lot of cool stuff. We got stuff in our homes we probably wouldn't have otherwise. Like, I can't believe that I can go down in my basement after this and I'm going to play Terminator 2. I'm going to play Terminator 2 right through. I can't wait. It's not arcade perfect. It's not arcade accurate because you're using Cinnamon light guns instead of the right controls and they disconnect. But I'm still going to have a boatload of fun with Terminator 2. And to give Arcade 1-Up credit as well, they also took off that horrible force filter they put on it. So that's what I'm going to do after this. I'm going to play through Terminator 2. And that's thanks to all these home arcade products coming out and giving us shit to play with and have fun. Anyways, guys, I don't want to keep you too long tonight. This was just a fun look back. I left the poll up. I meant to do other polls, and I just completely got away from myself between my audio skipping when I was playing the videos and stuff. Let's go back to the poll question that was asked 1 hour ago. We're going to end the poll. We had 139 votes. Here comes the Unico shilling. Decadent Dave, you're a funny guy. 139 votes. Would you have built a home arcade if Arcade 1-Up never existed? No at 65, yes at 34. So there's some people out there would have done it anyways. We're already interested in home arcade products. But some people probably missing the point. There's a lot of these other companies might not have existed if it wasn't for the fact that Arcade 1-Up came out in the first place. If Arcade 1-Up never put their foot down, they didn't create an interest, they didn't show want, AtGames might not have jumped into the home arcade friend. In fact, if you talk to AtGames, they will openly tell you they saw the success Arcade 1-Up was having and say, maybe we should do this too. I can't speak for iArcade. I don't know where Zhang's dream or vision came from, but I'm sure there's a lot of other companies that basically saw the fad that was happening with Arcade 1-Up and jumped in. And because of it, we got a lot of cool shit we can play in our house. And I got a pinball machine back there, the ALP 4KP, that really is special. As much as you want to shit on it for its price or other things like that, I mean, it's got really great art. I wish it wasn't, what's that term that they use? I wish it didn't have a matte finish. I wish it had a glossy finish, but it's got really good art, matte finish included. And, we got access to so many games. I can hook a PC up to it, that SSF kit. It's cool. I never would have got into pinball if it wasn't for this hobby. I wouldn't have Godzilla downstairs, the greatest pinball machine of all time, in my basement if this hobby never happened. There's so many arcade games I found, like, I don't know if I would have been as big a fan of some of the games, the classic games I got into thanks to this hobby. Games like Robotron, games like Star Wars, other things like that. I don't know if I would have got into that. So there's a lot of positives I take out of my time doing the home arcade stuff, buying these products. And I think if you look back on it, you'd see a lot of positives too. There's a lot of cool stuff that came out from all this shit we bought. And the biggest thing is probably the community, like the people that get together. Like, I would have never known 19K Fox. Like, I would have just assumed he was a normal guy. I probably would have came up and knocked on his window one time and got shot in the face. But now that I'm friends with him, I know he's got a gun, so I don't do that. Oh, you can only sell consumers the same games 5 times. No negativity, James. I know you hate everything, but no negativity, damn it. Now, Corner K was here earlier. It's not really my news to tell, but he was asking about Arcade 1-Up. The only thing I've heard is, I will be honest with you, David McIntosh just randomly reached out to a couple of us a little while ago and just said hello. You can talk to P-Dubs. I don't know if he wants me saying this, but I'll tell you. David McIntosh told him, he said, yeah, look for us at CES next year. So, I mean, take that for what it is. They might be there. I'm not going to talk about it any more than that. We'll see if they show up, and then we'll talk about it. Maybe that means there's nothing else coming from them till then. So, yeah, it is what it is. And before we go, Decadent Dave, you didn't have to do that. $9.99 super chat, more pinball money and change to make a collect call to 19K Fox. I don't have to make a collect call. That's the other cool thing about modern technology. I have Fox on Facebook. I can just call him on Facebook Messenger, which we do quite often. I do love that handsome man. Anyways, thank you very much, my man. And because of that, we got a special pinball chat video for you. Thank you very much. Just a couple quick comments I want to answer now to tie things up. Thank you very much again, Deck and Dave. I really appreciate it. Thanks for being a member to my channel too. Also appreciate it. Jedi Fallen Order. No, I bought Jedi Fallen Order Christmas time because my brother gave me a Steam gift card. He gave me like $100 EB Games gift card or GameStop gift card, which I went to GameStop and then bought two $50 Steam gift cards with that. So I bought RoboCop Rogue City, which I played right through and loved that game. Like, just absolutely loved it. I'm a big nostalgia guy. Obviously, if you saw my Arcade 1-Up room, sneakers I buy, the toys I buy, I'm a big nostalgia guy. So Rogue City was a nostalgia trip that I couldn't miss. But what I used the rest of the money to buy was I bought what was it? I bought the two Star Wars Jedi games, Jedi Fallen Order, and the other one, I can't remember the name now. Is Fallen Order the newest one? And hold on, let me look. Let me get my Steam library up so I can tell you. Library, because it's right there in my library. Jedi Fallen Order. I'm in the middle of playing Fallen Order, and I also bought the second game in the series, which I'm trying to bring up here now. Where are you? I don't know where it is. I also got the second game. I bought two of them, got them both for $50. So there you go. Anyways, guys, thank you very much for hanging out with me tonight, talking about some of the positives. One of the corniest thumbnails I've ever made ever, to do the corniest show ever. But I did just want to say thank you to you guys for hanging out with me, and thank you for being part of this community. And thank you for having fun with all these products these companies have bought us in the last little while. I haven't played Star Wars, the other one. I can't remember the name right now. It's Fallen Order and then Jedi Survivor, I think it's called. Jedi Survivor. Star Wars Jedi Survivor is the other one. Yeah. So, Cybercells, you got to get on that RoboCop game. It is so good ass. So good ass. Anyways, guys, thank you very much. Appreciate you being here. Enjoy the rest of your Monday night. I'm going to go play Terminator 2. I'll talk to you next time.